Well, it's a beautiful day. It's the official planting day here at Kingswood Studios. I'm going to show you what we're going to plant. And I'm going to go over what we are going to plant, and then I'll show you what planted. I'll spare you the boredom of digging holes and putting small plants in holes, and you'll just see the aftermath. But we're going to start with these peppers. They are crying now to go in the ground. You can see a couple of them didn't make it. The roots just gave up the ghost here, but most of them did. And we had a few small peppers, very small, that I picked off, and I think it is time. They are certainly saying it's time to go in the ground and get going. And in addition, we have lots of other peppers just in case these don't do too well. I think they will, though. And lots of different kinds of tomatoes, and lots of different kinds of cucumbers, pumpkins, cantaloupe, okra, and the little tiny sour gherkins, Mexican gherkins, whatever. That's these little ones that look more like vines, which is what they will become. So let's get at it. Okay, before I go down to the garden, this is the kind of a peak flower season, and I thought you might enjoy seeing some of those. These are bachelor buttons and salvia, and so these are columbine that just kind of blew in there. They weren't planted, they just kind of blew in there. There's our Japanese maple tree, looking good. And over here, Carol's got some summer phlox that are starting to bloom. Those are always nice. And this rhododendron hangs in there. I mean, it's not in the best spot, but it kind of likes it. And this is what's left of the Lenten roses. Those things, one of our East Coast visitors got those for us, for Carol, and they come up, they stay green all the way through the winter. I mean, all the way through the winter. And then in the end of March, beginning of April, the green comes up and they flower, and there's still a couple left. They're really pretty amazing. Now I'll go up on the side. There's kind of a special flower, at least I think it is. Sorry, I missed the red bud. Maybe I got a picture of that last time. Over here, Carol's got a few tomato plants for like just salad tomatoes. And these are the Oriental poppies. These things Carol started, I don't know if they were roots or seeds or whatever, but these things are probably 35, 40 years old. And they're just gorgeous. Unfortunately, they don't last real long, but when they bloom, they're really spectacular. And this is some more summer phlox that she transplanted over here, and you can see this is what all of that will look like downstairs in a little bit. Very nice. There's our chive plant. And let's see. Oh, there's my carpenter bee trap right here. Carpenter bees get everything, wood. And I don't have any carpenter bees in there, but it gets hornets too. They'll crawl in this hole, go down into the soapy water, and commit suicide. This is what I call the refugee garden. This is where Carol says, I'm tired of these flowers, do something with them. This is where they all go. These, well, we didn't do these. These are some wild iris that come up every year, and they require no care, and they're really, really pretty. Some dianthus that she was tired of. This is some tickseed coreopsis that hasn't gotten the its little yellow flowers yet. And here's one of my favorites. There's the red buckeye, and hopefully there's some more growing on the East Coast. Looking at you, Scott. But if not, there'll be more red buckeyes to send out there later. This one is, oh, I don't know, it's probably about 6 or 7 years old, pretty well established. And I took a couple of the buckeyes from them, and I grew 2 others. That one's really small, but he's got a flower. That one, no flower yet. Now, the asparagus, we've been munching on this for about 3 weeks now. And some of it's starting to say, don't harvest me anymore, I want to be a fern. That's what these guys are. And some of them are still, you know, good-sized spears that I'm going to cut today for dinner later. But they just kind of come up one at a time, randomly. There's one over there. A couple more here. The one thing that I've had this year that is not good is asparagus beetles. And that's what that bucket of soapy water's for. You got to pick them off like one at a time, because you don't want to spray anything, because the this asparagus will come up. That thing was probably an inch tall 2 days ago, and now look at it. So you don't want to spray it because you're going to eat it in a couple days. So I'm going to harvest these. I don't see any asparagus beetles on there right now, but I'm going to have to do something to get rid of them, because they really, while they bother the spears, they really go after the ferns, and they will eat these things, and then they can't regenerate themselves for next year's crop. There, I caught one of the asparagus beetles. That's all they are. It's dead. But they fly and they burrow, and they're very hard to get. But I think I'm winning, but it's hard to tell. But like I said, next year I'm going to have to probably clean up the garden a little bit better and get rid of all the straw and everything, because they overwinter in that. Okay, here's the peppers that I overwintered. And I put them out yesterday. These are all the Anaheims that I overwintered. They actually had a couple peppers on them, believe it or not. And yesterday afternoon, they were not happy. You can see they're still not really happy. They're very wilty, and I think they're going to make it, but a mistake I made, I believe, is I let them leaf out too much, and now I put them outside and they don't know what to do with themselves. They much prefer to be inside. But if they don't make it, worry not. All of these little guys along here, those are also Anaheims. But that's the difference. When you start out, that's what they are. And this is what they, you know, were last year when I cut them down. Then we got, here's the Serenos, and they were really wilty yesterday. They look a lot better. But I've got some more of those here as well. And then these are some jalapenos. Now you see the small ones, they handled the transplanting just fine. It's the big ones that were going, oh, this is not my little comfy place inside with a constant temperature and a grow light. So fingers crossed. Gonna have to keep an eye on these and probably water them more than I should. Now the main event down here, this is reworked quite a bit this year. Gonna start down here. Well, here. These are the squash, because they need to be a lot of room to run out. There's one more squash. That's a cantaloupe. Another squash, cantaloupe, pumpkin, and 2 more cantaloupes. And the reason I think I got that many cantaloupes is I don't expect all of them to make it. But hopefully some will. And then, oh, here, the bird has christened my brandywine tomatoes. they also don't seem to really have taken to the great outdoors the best. And again, I think my problem is that I used that grow light. It worked spectacularly, but they just grew tall and spindly, and they did not, you know, bush out the way, you know, when you get them in the store. And then these are the super sauces here, those four, and another one up here. You can see they're just kind of spindly. I think they're going to be okay, but I think too much grow light. I got one 4th of July salad tomato, and then this one is called a chocolate pear, which is also a salad tomato. Let's put him over here by himself. And I'll say, what we got? Okay, this is something interesting. Cucumber, not interesting. Cucumber. This is the sour Mexican gherkin, which is a cucumber thing. And here's some okra. Now I've got some more. The okra is really slow growing. Again, cucumber, Mexican gherkin, okra. So we'll see what happens with those. That could be too many things in too small an area. They might just grow over the top of each other. Oh, and then there's some, where you see these metal stakes, there's beans planted there in this whole area that, well, they'll come up in a couple weeks, you'll see. Now this area down here, this took a lot of effort this spring to get this ready. This soil is really, it's not good. I've just been able to start to turn it over. It's still not great, but we're going to try something, and this is the surprise that I promised you, and some of the West Coast people tried to get me to give them a hint, and no hints. It is popcorn, growing 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of popcorn, which they say is kind of the minimum, and this, hopefully this whole block will be popcorn. So the fencing that I had to put up, which is really some cobbled together stuff, it doesn't look real good, but hopefully it's effective. This is to keep the deer out, because the deer loves them some corn, and they'll do about anything to get at corn. So I strung most of this fence like 6 feet high, and kind of blocked it off over here in the new tomatillo wrangling area. I call it a wrangling area because you really don't grow tomatillas, you just kind of manage them. And this, if they grow correctly, this whole thing will just be full of like that, a couple tomatilla plants, and they are crazy producers. So there you have it, folks. In the official uniform, these are a gift over Christmas from the West Coast admirers. And at first I didn't think I was going to like them, but I really, really do. They really keep the dirt off of you and tromping through the weeds, which there's plenty of here to cut. They keep you clean and the poison ivy off of you. But you might want to ask yourself, what does the well-dressed farmer wear underneath these Duluths? Well, you don't ask a Scotsman what's underneath his kilt, and you'll just have to use your imagination. So with that, happy gardening and happy Memorial Day. So there you have it, folks. In the official uniform, these are a gift over Christmas from the West Coast admirers. And at first I didn't think I was going to like them, but I really, really do. They really keep the dirt off of you and tromping through the weeds, which there's plenty of here to cut. They keep you clean and the poison ivy off of you. But you might want to ask yourself, What does the well-dressed farmer wear underneath these Duluths? Well, you don't ask a Scotsman what's underneath his kilt, and you'll just have to use your imagination. So with that, happy gardening and happy Memorial Day.